Many policy experts have recommended adding fiscal measures like taxes to help meet climate goals. You have rejected these measures, saying it would break your campaign promise. Could you explain?
Okay, so there are two ways to put incentives. You can put a positive incentive for people making the right choices, or you can put a malus, a negative incentives for the one not respecting the objectives. We decided to choose the first way. Why is that? Not only a question of respecting our promises, it's also a question of respecting the way Quebec is, which is that in our regions that are far from the large cities, people have no choice but to have a pickup or a car. And very often also people having less means, less money, they are the one who would be the most affected by additional taxes. So I think it's the right choice we make to put positive incentive instead of negative incentives.
And the latest climate science says that a 50% reduction in CO2 emissions by 2030 is necessary to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement. Why are Quebec's goals out of line with that science with a 37.5%?
Okay, first we have to remember that when you take the 60 states and provinces in North America, we're the best. We have the lowest greenhouse gas per capita. So we also need to see where we start with. So we're starting lower than Alberta, for example, or some states like Texas. So we really need to take that into consideration. Maybe those states should go to 50%, but I think that it's quite ambitious to have an objective of reduction of 37.5% for Quebec.
You were also talking about electrification, more projects to electrify transport, and you were even talking a little bit about selling more electric power from Hydro-Quebec. How significant of an economic boon do you see that as being for Quebec?
But I think that right now we already have an important project in Massachusetts. It will represent about 18% of all their energy need. And I've spoken to Charlie Baker, the governor. He's open to discuss a new project of about the same size, so going from 18% to 36%. We are also talking to New York, the city and the state of New York, and there's an opening to discuss having and financing together a new line to export hydroelectricity to New York. So it's not something, it's not a dream that is not realistic. I think at this point it's realistic, and of course the arrival of Mr. Biden supporting those two Democrat governors, Mr. Baker and Mr. Cuomo, I think it can only help.
And lastly, I just want to know, you said it in French before, but we didn't obtain our goals for 2020. Why should we believe that we're going to obtain our goals this time?
Okay, the Liberal government had in 2009 put the target of a reduction of 20% for 2020. Unfortunately, they never tabled a plan with figures, with an analysis of the means and their impact on the greenhouse gas. So what we saw is that for the last information we have for 2017, we had a reduction of only 8.7%. And in the last 3 years, for which we have some information, which is 2015, 16, and 17, we haven't had an increase of the greenhouse gas. So we really need to change that. We're investing the double in terms of money a year than what was invested by the Liberal government. So we think that for the first time, we have a plan with figures, a detailed plan, and we will follow that every year. And the target and the objective is going from 42% to 50% to 60%. So with the innovation to add to the measures every year in the next 10 years.